partner Brandon, and it is what day is it? It's Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where we discuss traffic stuff, and we have guests. We talk about some current events, and then we have an opportunity to have a Q&A, and we'll get through all of those things in just a moment. But Brandon, before we get into the folks from Teens Learn to Drive, because this is Tuesday with Teens Learn to Drive.
Today.
We had a bunch of stuff. We have some weekend impaired information we want to talk about. We want to talk about Vision Zero enforcement team. Take us away.
Sure thing. So for people who watch this regularly, you understand that you can go to torontopolice.on.ca/division/map. You'll get this map, and it's interactive, and you can go and figure out exactly where in the city, what division you belong in. And today, our officers are going to be in 14 Division as well as 53 Division. So once you click into 14 Division, you'll get some information here, including your divisional boundaries, which are important to know, and some important people that you could contact in case you have a community complaint or something otherwise. But of course, if you're ever in any kind of danger, that's a 911 call. Same information for 53 Division. You've got your divisional boundaries as well as some important people that you could get in contact with in terms of crime prevention or neighborhood complaints. Again, if you're ever in danger, it's a 911 call, though, okay? And that's it for VZET. However, that's not the end of the discussion, because this weekend was a bit of a bad one in regards to collisions and in regards to impaired arrests. So we had 26 people arrested over the weekend, over the long weekend, for impaired operation offenses. 6 of those were novice drivers. That means people who were young and not in possession of a full license. 4 of those drivers were found passed out behind the wheel. So we get that question a lot. Can I drink and then sleep in my car? Well, no. And then the last one was an operator of a boat. So just in case you think that you can take a ride over to Toronto Island and you're good to go, and you can have all the fun you want, you can have all the fun you want, but you can just make sure you don't do that in a vehicle.
Yeah, or any conveyance for that matter. And we don't know if they were passed out because they were in a parking lot not wanting to drive home, or if they were passed out in the middle of the road. We don't have that information in front of us. But the fact is, if you are going to be driving, don't be drinking, don't be consuming any drugs, because at the end of the day, your life will change, and you may change the life of someone else forever. Whether that means that you injured someone, killed someone, or did something to yourself, or at the very least got charged criminally for an offense. Those things tend to be difficult to deal with. It just changes the flow of your day. And going back to Vision Zero enforcement team for just a moment. If you don't know who they are, they're the fine folks that are focused on the big 4 driving offenses. Those are behaviors that lead to serious injury and death on our roadway. They include speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. And they go out there and they don't give warnings. They don't have nice conversations. They give tickets, and it's because those tickets change behavior. No one wants them. And if you want to avoid meeting one of those fine officers, I suggest you not break any of the rules, regardless of where you are in the city or on a road anywhere, because there are officers in other jurisdictions who do just what our guys do. And another thing, our Vision Zero enforcement team is not or are not the only people who issue tickets in the city of Toronto. Officers throughout the city are enforcing the Highway Traffic Act. The Vision Zero enforcement team simply augments the good work already being done in those divisions. And with that out of the way, let's bring on our friends from Vision Zero. From Vision Zero. But you do have a Vision Zero segment to what you do.
Yes, we do, with young ambassadors from different high schools. This will be our first year of running that.
It's the Vision Zero Youth Network.
Yes.
Yes. So there's exciting stuff being done there. So you're part of the whole thing. I want to bring on now, Megan, you've been on before. You're sort of a regular now, but we have Joseph, and we also have, one second, why is my screen not working? We have Joseph and Anton, who are joining us from they are the graphic design team, or part of the graphic design team. Bring them up on stage.
2 of our many graphic designers.
How many do you have? How do you only select 2?
We've got a few.
I think we have about 4. Yeah.
I was going to say 4 or 5.
Oh, there we go. Just before we start, we want to make sure that everyone knows that you can reach Teens Learn to Drive on all social media platforms. TL2D today is the handle on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. And we are looking forward to having you join us on live soon. We just need to get you to 1,000 followers, and you'll be joining us on live on that platform as soon as possible. Now, we've got some fun stuff to deal with, because not only are we talking about the work that you do, but we want to talk about really specifically the work that is done by your team, because you do great graphics. A lot of your, if not all of your graphics, are all in-house produced, right? It's being created from the ground up. You're not going to Google to find your favorite pictures and share them. You're actually creating your graphics.
Yeah,
everything you make is created.
Yeah, we put an emphasis on being able to make stuff from scratch, and we work with the CEO, Anne Marie, and we work together in creating ideas and being creative.
And now, sorry, just before we go on there, Brandon kicked on the chat window, and if you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. Everyone who said hello prior to that being sort of shifted over, I see your chats, but the public can't. So just a quick hello to Amanda, Emma, Seymour, and Celia from YouTube saying hello. So at this point, if you do say hello, we'll see you. And sorry for that distraction for a moment. I wanted to make sure that they knew why their stuff wasn't on screen. So we have some fun stuff to chat about here, because you guys came prepared. You actually took a challenge to create a backdrop for this show while we're chatting with you. And my understanding is there's 3 submissions. I have them here. Let me go and pull them up. And so which one is which? Anton, which one did you create?
Well, I haven't seen the other.
Yeah, maybe show
submissions.
them, and I can let you know who did what.
Okay, let's pull it up. Downloads. Is this going to work for me? Where'd it go?
It's been a morning of technological nightmares for us.
Well, it's always fun.
It's what happens after a long weekend.
Exactly. I feel like Monday just is coming back. It's getting revenge. It's not pleased about yesterday.
No, this is not okay. Where'd it go? I named them so I could find them. Okay, hang on one second here. I was trying
They're
to be
all very different, though. The graphics, I was surprised.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah, they're totally different.
I was a little worried that, in case any of them were similar, but they're all 3 completely different designs, and they're good.
Mm-hmm. I think all 3. I think all the designers on the team have like different ideas, so that's good when it comes to having opinions.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And then so you, Anton and Joe, you're both sort of the creative minds, as it were. How does the whole team come together in order to decide what's going to be spoken about? I mean, obviously you've got a certain type of content you like to talk about, but just being a creative doesn't mean you're talking about the right things. How does everyone kind of come together to talk about what needs to be made?
So like usually in the morning when we have our meetings, we kind of discuss like what kind of social media posts need to go out, what kinds of videos and advertisements need to be created. Right. So I guess, for example, like the social media team, they'll reach out to Anton and I and even the other designers to see like what kind of things we can create for that. And then at our next meeting afterwards, we'll run the design by them and see if that's kind of like something they were looking for, and then kind of just go from there.
A lot of the times it's me trying to message them like, this is what I want, if you could do this, and kind of rotate it. And it's difficult with like just me typing, trying to explain in my mind what I want visually, but they always do a good job bringing it to life.
Well, I have seen all this artwork now, and I can attest to the fact that it's really good stuff. And I've actually got 2 out of the 3 loaded. I saved all this stuff and I have no idea where it's gone, but I'm now saving it to a new location. I love Windows. Let's see here. Okay, should we start with the first one? Let's go here. This is now. Is it fair? You can't actually see it. No, okay.
Can we move ourselves?
No. Let's do this. I'm going to share my screen. That's what we're going to do.
Brilliant.
Boy,
so this one is Anton's.
Yeah, this is mine.
Oh, I like this a lot.
Yeah.
Well, from what I see, other than the webcams being covered.
It's the mystery yeah. Here we go. I think we got full. Here we go. So let me open it up in the share screen.
I thought this one was clever with the different signs and the now live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we were given this challenge, we weren't really. We were kind of just given like creative freedom. We didn't really have a guideline or anything. We just knew that we were going to show it on the show, and so I just wanted to incorporate our logo and then yours, and then maybe have some creativity with it by incorporating the signs and L.
No, I like it. I think it's great. It's very much what we do. Now, let me see if I can switch over to yet another. Are we ready for another one?
Yep, let's bring it.
Okay. Window. There we go. Here's number 2.
Okay, this one's Joe's.
Yes, this is mine. So kind of like the inspiration behind that when I was creating it was, the Toronto skyline, kind of factored into the background, kind of made the same focal point of like the Toronto Police Traffic Services, and then kind of have our logo in the background as well.
I'll hype Joe up here. I think this does work better as a background for sure.
I think maybe we could see it as like the background behind the webcams. Maybe.
Mhm.
I'll swap it in just a second.
Okay.
Let's see here. I apologize for the. I always try and avoid doing exactly what I'm doing right now.
Tech
Okay.
behind the scenes is always tough.
Well, it's like especially when you think that you've got it down. Okay, let me
Anton and Joe
unshare.
also work as like tech support whenever like I need something done. I'm like, hey guys, I need you to like do this tech thing for
Ooh.
me.
Oh, that really fits just the way that the screens have now. When you take AV's comment and take it away, things may change yet again. Okay, now, okay, maybe we have some. But when the comments are on the bottom, when the lower thirds are in, that's really slick. Okay, here's the last one I'm opening up.
Okay, and this one was done by Elliot. He's not here this week clearly, but I'm pretty sure he's on next week.
Okay, and this is the last one.
Yes, last
I like-
number 3.
I like this one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
it
like
works
the
really
colors.
nicely.
Yeah.
The gradients, the stuff. So, and the fact that you're doing all of this, just starting from scratch, it's just your thoughts in your heads, and it's awesome. So let's see what this one looks like. Okay, that's cool too.
Yeah, that works really well.
So which one do we leave on for this show? And ultimately, I think what we're going to do is have these. We'll put them on our social media and let the viewers chime in. Actually, let's hear from the chat again and see what they think.
1, 2,
Oh.
or 3. Those are your options.
So we have some wow. We've got some different, very talented designers from AV. Not that she is at all biased. Now I don't know which one Amanda was referring to, saying that it works out really well. We got 2 right now. A vote for the second one. Okay. Nate Dog says number 3. This is hard, according to Celia. You know what? It is. Maybe it's a rotating thing. We'll have to play with it. But we'll leave this one up for right now. We'll change it in a little while, and we'll keep going. But let's. So we've covered. Of course, there. Adhel says number 1 because he's got to be different. Yeah, this is a whole lot of action. So it's funny. What appeals to one is going to be different than what appeals to another. It's very unique. I think they're all great. I really do. Thank you very much for producing those, and we'll use them for the shows, even if we rotate. Adriana says 3 is super clean, chef's kiss. Okay, I'm assuming that Adriana is the chef. Or maybe this is a
Yes.
term that I'm just not
Yes.
familiar with. And
like a chef's kiss, and when they're done, like, oh, it tastes so good.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I got it. And I see. There you go. I just didn't know. John says they're all very good, depending on placement and audience. Yeah, it's true. But it's funny. When you create things, are you targeting an audience? Are you trying to be very specific for a teen audience? Would you do the same design if it was for someone in their 40s or 30s? Or is it really does it go to changing how you approach a project?
Yeah, I think in our line of work, we tend to do a bit of research on who we're trying to target in terms of our content. So like Teens Learn to Drive, we're aiming for that teen audience, and then we try to find out what they like and what design they prefer, and then try to move towards that.
And
So, sorry, go ahead, Joseph.
I think just specifically, like one of our designs that we've been like reoccurring this past couple of months is like the comic design, and I think that caters a lot towards like the younger generation, especially like teens. So that's something we've been including a lot lately.
I like that. That's a good idea. And then, so how does that work between platforms? Because I mean, something that we've struggled with, like Sean is excellent at creating the dynamic stuff. He's got a good voice for it. He's got a good presence. I've been trying to create some of the more static stuff, and it's funny how it's different from platform to platform. What looks good, and so I can tell, like, just based on the 3 things I've just seen, those look really good. So how do you like pick that out? How do you develop an eye for that? Clearly, you guys are experienced.
Well, sometimes, like for us on the social media team, like they'll produce one graphic, and that sometimes will go out on every single platform. But sometimes we'll message them and be like, "Hey, this is going on Facebook. Can you just change the design a little bit, maybe the wording?" Just because on Facebook we have more parents of teens, So it's something that we do take in consideration before putting out a post, making sure that it's going to reach the audience that it's intended for.
Right.
Yeah, what's important is while we're actually creating the design, if needed, we make it easy to convert for other platforms. It's like while we're creating it, so that when it does come to that time, it doesn't like impede on our efficiency.
So you've got that in mind. You know that there's different shapes and sizes for each and every platform, but also, as Megan said, it's a different audience. The Facebook is very much an older audience, as is Twitter, I imagine, because as we're finding, TikTok is very, very youthful. I don't know. I keep saying the ghost is Snapchat still used? Is anyone on Snapchat?
Not much for promotion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's an abandoned, it's a relic of yesteryear, along with Vine that doesn't exist. So everything is very, very fluid and changing all the time. So we're chatting last week about the differences between the generations, the gaps, the way we experience things, and kids learn to drive, or my apologies, teens learn to drive versus old people learn to drive versus how do you, we talk about design focus, but how is that connection established? Like I always heard my parents talking about walking uphill both ways to and from school. Like it was everything was harder for them as it was for us. And our perception was that everything was harder for us than it is for you guys. Differences that we are experiencing, like backup cameras. I didn't learn with a backup camera, and I'm assuming that any vehicle that you guys were learning on probably had one. Does that come into play in your messaging?
Not much, I don't think. I know when I was learning to drive, I had the backup camera, and my mom would always like block it. She'd be like, "You're not allowed to look at this. Like once you have your full license, then you can use it. But for the time being, like you can't use it."
I think for me, I recently just passed my G test, and I had to kind of go over all the fundamentals again, just kind of very briefly, just reverse parking, parallel parking, everything like that. And when I was practicing, I had to kind of relearn everything without the backup camera, and that was kind of a struggle for me because I was so used to it since I've been driving for quite a long time. So that's something that was a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I'm still a learning driver, so I mainly I learned from my dad, who learned that way that you were saying, from that older generation. So I kind of pick up those tips and tricks from him directly.
So sorry, and who's teaching you to drive?
Mainly my dad. We have a couple of driving sessions to practice driving.
Driving sessions with an instructor?
No, my father.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you also had driving instructor sessions. Have you taken any formal training?
I plan on it. I only have my G1 currently, so I'm still on my way to getting my G2.
Okay, so you're brand new to it, but that's very interesting. So, what was your experience? Your feeling on going through the G1 process?
It was really nice. I think learning how to take the G1, just mainly relying on online sources and then actually taking the G1, it was really smoothly. It went really smooth.
And here you go, Scott Marshall. He's our friend who shows up every Friday for Scott's Thoughts. He is a driving instructor. In fact, he teaches other driving instructors to be driving instructors. And he says it's about knowing when to use the backup camera. And we've spoken about this before. You can use your backup camera when you're testing. You just can't rely on it. So you need to know that it's there to assist you, but not to do it for you. What do you think? Do you think that you'd survive in a world without backup cameras?
I mean, I was taught without using them, so I think so.
I think it would definitely take some time, but I can get accustomed to it for sure.
Yeah, this is sort of like the new video game where you put a piece of cardboard paper in front of your backup camera and see if you make it now, if you make it into that parking spot safely. It is an interesting challenge. Life without power windows for some would be unlivable. But we take for granted many of the safety features that we have, like ABS brakes. Have you ever deployed your braking system so much so that you have triggered ABS? Have you been in a situation where they've kicked in?
I'm really bad. I don't use the emergency parking brake. My sister does it, so whenever she finishes driving, I'll use the car. I'll go to drive and the emergency brake will be on. I'm like, what is this nonsense?
But what about ABS? The automatic braking, or the pulsing when you smash the brake and it prevents it from locking up, the anti-lock braking.
I don't know if I've ever had an experience where I've used that.
No,
okay.
I haven't either.
Never. Wow. Okay. So that's another thing. Like my vehicles when I grew up didn't have ABS. ABS is that anti-lock braking system that prevents. It allows you to steer through severe or intense braking. So whereas if you would have pushed all the way, locked up your brakes, your tires would stop moving, and entirely you'd lose the ability to steer, and you would skid in whatever direction you were going. You can't actually steer during intense braking or heavy braking applications without ABS, unless you use something called threshold braking, which is something that you have to learn. So this is where all these training scenarios and professional instruction really come in handy. As police drivers, they have these wonderful switches on our police cars that are meant for the track. You can flip a button and suddenly ABS is turned off, and you can recreate what it is like to be in a car before ABS became reality. And it's really an eye opener. So if you haven't had your ABS kick in, either you may not have noticed it, or you've been very fortunate not to have a situation where you've had to lock up your brakes. But this whole thing, Brandon, when you started driving, was ABS on everything?
ABS was kind of like 50-50 by the time I was driving, but my instructor was fantastic, and he made sure I think he had something like that where he had a switch or whatever, but I was able to experience the lockup and the lack of steering, and then fortunately ABS. So
very cool. Well, now you got homework to go see if you can find a wet road and figure out how ABS works. Once it kicks in, maybe it's not as noticeable anymore. But when mine, they used to sound like a pump would kick on, and you'd feel it giving feedback in the pedals. But it allows you to steer while you're heavily braking, and it really is great. But it actually takes longer to stop with ABS than it does without it. So different stuff and things. But so we've got backup cameras are different. We got windows that are different. What else is different from when is technology that was there? I mean, I had a tape deck in my original car. Have you ever seen a tape deck?
Tape.
I have.
Cassette tapes?
I think so.
Traction control. That's something different. Have you ever hit the gas so hard? I mean, you would never accelerate quickly, but if you were accelerating quickly from a stop and you were to lose traction, traction control would actually reduce the amount of power to your wheels so that you wouldn't slide out from the rear end. And I would say a vast majority of motor vehicles now come with traction control, or at least as an option. Do you know if you have that in the vehicles that you're learning on?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. So these are things that, here's one thing I would suggest for you guys is read the owner's manuals for your vehicles, because there's stuff that you will learn about those cars that you will learn nowhere else. I remember when I was shopping for a car, I was going to buy a new car, and the big thing was whether or not all four wheels or only some of the wheels had ABS, and if traction control was a thing. So it's very cool. For me now, everything just has it. Options aren't options anymore. Like I think the cigarette lighters was whether or not you wanted the cigarette lighter or you wanted a cup holder. That was the big option for me.
I remember when we got our new car, it was a vacuum. You could pay extra money and you could have like a built-in vacuum.
Come on. A vacuum.
My dad wanted it so badly. My mom was like, that's not happening.
I've officially never heard of a vacuum in a car, so I'm impressed.
Now that you bring this up, I remember me and Cameron, a friend of the team, we for fun, we went on a car's website and just see how many add-ons that we could put on a car and just see how it would amount up.
Yeah.
And then there's so many add-ons nowadays.
There's a lot now.
Well, now they're power groups, and you want a sunroof, and you want how big are the rims. But in terms of actual safety features or making your ride safer, I wonder how many are really there. Of course, then there's autonomous driving and things like was it collision avoidance or automatic? Was it called follow? What is it called? So I have never had a vehicle with it, but this is where it automatically adjusts your speed. Cruise control, adaptive cruise control. That's what it's called. Airbags were add-ons. QQ says airbags were add. Let's look at some of these comments. QQ says airbags were add-ons. Seatbelts used to be an add-on, according to Amanda. Daytime running lights and how your car works with them. Is that a question or is that an optional add-on, John? Let's see here.
I used to get really bad with putting my lights on. My dad would always get nervous when I drove at night because I'd forget to put the lights on. So
you thank you for bringing that up, because automatic headlight switches, or they're not switches, they're automatic headlights. When it becomes the ambient light gets lower, automatic headlight switch. Do you guys have that on your vehicles? Do you automatically get into a car and know where your lights are and whether or not
I know where they are? I just don't use them. Because for me, I can see fine without them. I always get yelled at. I'm always like, you need to put your lights on. I'm like, no, I know that. It's just I forget.
But when you can't see, you do turn them on. Is that how it works?
Yeah. But like I find when I drive at night, like I can see fine. Like I have like the street lamps. Like I don't need them.
Well, there's more to it than that, because it's the lights in the back of your vehicle. I always refer to them as ghost cars. People possibly like you who don't turn them on automatically. Only your brake lights will illuminate when they're depressed or activated, and otherwise your marker lights aren't on and you're invisible off in the distance. But there's a lot of people who don't realize that their full lighting system is important, and if their dashboard is on, the lights must be on, and that's changing. My understanding is laws coming into effect that's going to require the full light system to be on either all the time, or Brandon, do you recall if it's going to be full lighting system all the time, or if it's going to be the dashboard won't illuminate?
Honestly, I don't recall. I can look it up and I can get back to us. But in the meantime, I was kind of curious about technology that exists that doesn't necessarily exist within the car. Like something that exists that wasn't around when you and I were taking our driver's instruction was a cell phone. No one ever had to talk to us about that until we were fully mature drivers. So I was wondering how do you approach that issue? I mean, it's hard enough to get people not to use backup screens during a test. How do you get people not to use their cell phone not during a
That's
test?
the hard thing, because people, the second you say you don't need your cell phone when driving, the first thing that comes up is, yes, I do GPS. How am I supposed to know where I'm going?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
think-
surprised.
As Emma said, like car phones were a pretty big add-on for cars. Like just being able to talk like through the car itself, so like you're not distracted while driving as much.
Well, speaker phones, because how many? There was actually a handset when I saw my first cell phone, and it was what was it? Was it a mobile phone then? All lights will be on starting with cars built in September 2021. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. So speaking about mobile phones, it used to be a one button phone. My friend had this. It looked like a home phone. You picked it up. There was a button on the side. You pressed it, and you got an operator. And you said, "Hi, it's user 12345. I'd like to call 123 like 416 whatever," and they would connect you. But everybody that was on that phone, like that was on the cell network, could hear you having your phone call. It was a very weird situation that you actually had to communicate with it. Yeah. It was not cell phone the way you think about it now. So technology has changed. Oh, I have that phone. I have it in a closet. It's called a transportable. So you take that handset and permanently install it, and then you had another handset that was in the trunk, or not the base, that would come off and then clip to a suitcase. I'm gonna have to bring it in, my relic from the past. I have a bunch of old phones that I've kept just for conversations like this. So I can talk about what it was when I was 6 and nobody else here was born. So there's a lot of different things. Are there any questions from the group? I got lots of things here. We got questions. Sorry, from the chat, I should say. GPS is not needed. I only search the address, not hard. Ashton wants everyone to know that he hopes that we're having a fantastic day. There's a lot of action. We've got 24 people in the room. If you've got any questions for the team in regards to social media or stuff that Teens Learn to Drive discusses, throw them in there. We'd love to hear from you. In terms of big messaging, big events that are coming up for Teens Learn to Drive, what kind of stuff are we going to see in the future from you?
Well, I think right now we're focusing on our high school ambassadors. We have all of them. I think we just have a few more interviews to go through. So we're pretty much focusing now on setting them up, getting them comfortable with the role. And then that's just our main goal now, is providing materials for them and training.
So, and in terms of the materials and training, what are you training them to do? What do you actually? I assume you're going to teach them about traffic safety, and they're going to carry that message forward.
Yeah.
So
at high school assemblies. Yeah. At high school assemblies, we're training them to move our message forward of safe driving. We're going to be giving them some physical materials, such as like playing cards that'll show the right and wrong way to drive, and then we'll be also be giving them like more videos and media content that they can put out, and as well as us, me and Joe, since we're the graphic designers, we'll be teaching them design skills that they can apply to their own social media posts about safe driving.
So from you guys, new drivers or recently licensed G driver, and Megan, are you a full G now?
No, I'm not.
G2?
I have a G2, yes.
Okay. So for you as new drivers yourselves, what is the number one safety message that, and I'm assuming it'll be probably 3 different answers, but the number one safety message that you've really identified with that Teens Learn to Drive has promoted or taught you about?
That's a good one. I think like we do talk a lot about an owner's manual, and we did lots of videos on that. I think that's really important messaging because if there's something wrong, you can go to Google, but there's so many different makes and models of your car. The best way to find out like what's wrong with it is checking like the owner's manual, which is that's what it's used for you to see like what's wrong if you have any problems.
The thing with the internet is like you never know what like sources like certified or true. So like at least that owner's manual, that someone has like verified that information and then that it's safe.
And that's how to use the car itself, like how to check the what's under the hood, how to make sure you release the parking brake, things like that. The features that are specific. But outside, in terms of actual driving, something that's jumped out for you guys is really important.
I think
Not
like
particularly. I think just being like on the team, like you learn a lot of things that you didn't know, and you take it more into consideration when driving.
Okay. So there's so much. I imagine it's just tons and tons of information. You had some, I keep coming back to that one video where you had a race car driver that was talking about whether he would drive, on the road versus a track about so many things. There was a huge difference because you had that closed circuit versus the open road with so many different questions and other drivers who may not have the same training. I thought it was a great video, and it was really thought provoking. Any big projects coming on with new videos like that?
We're working on our PSA right now, which was actually just filmed over the weekend.
Nice.
So that's exciting. I did notice a question on the side that someone has if we're an actual driving school with lessons to provide, and we are not. We focus more on just safety, road safety.
And actually, and that's from Seymour, and then Anne, who you may know as the boss lady, says that 62% of Ontarian drivers do not take driving lessons. So there's a lot that they don't know. There's a huge gap because so many people are learning from friends, family as to how to drive, and that leaves a lot that's untaught. They also learn a lot of poor driving behaviors or bad habits. So thank you, Anne-Marie, for bringing that up because that's a huge point. When we choose who's going to be our instructor or our blueprint for what's the right way to drive, we might be making the wrong decision. That being said, we also may not have the financial means to go for professional driving. So it puts people in a bit of a pickle. Now, Anton, you've not taken professional lessons, but you might do it in the future. Joseph, did you take any professional lessons?
I did, yeah. Before I took my G2 test, I think it was required to take like 10 road tests with a certified driver. So I did those, plus driving school as well, before I took my G2 test.
So you went through a full program, and that allowed you to do the 8 from G1. So you did a G2 after, not G1? So you waited a full year with your G1, or did you do the 8-month accelerated with your G1?
I did the 8-month accelerated.
Okay, so you did a full approved training program. That's a huge
Yes.
thing. There's an incentive to go and do that to save a few months
Yeah.
and be able to go early because you have that benefit of more training. Emma took lessons as well. She found it really useful. That's great. I took it. I was 15 years old. I rode my bicycle to go to the school to take the in-car because I was so excited to get my test. I was not only reading the book, but I was engaged in that whole process. Have you guys ever tried go-karting? Anybody?
Yes, I did not like
It's really
it.
fun. Oh.
You did not like it, really?
No, I
That's
was
very
not a
interesting.
fan. I kept crashing. I was like not having a good time.
Okay, remind me when you're on the road. So
I
I
didn't know how to control it. We're different than a car. I was like looking for like the proper car stuff, and I was like, this is just a wheel and a pedal, and I need
there's no
more.
stereo on that. The
Yeah.
go-kart.
No GPS on that one. Sorry.
Well, what I was going to say is go-karting for me was a phenomenal way to learn the basics of driving. There's no reverse. You're not learning how to do a standard or manual transmission, but just the concept of go, turn left, understanding the basic concepts. I found it really useful, and I was going to go-kart tracks as often as I could as a kid. Whenever I saw one, I harassed my parents ad nauseum until they said yes. But I took that as a great way to do that. It also allows you to sort of get an idea of speed and not really realistic driving for the road, but understanding things beyond that even as a experienced driver, go-karting is very different, and yet has the same fundamentals of left, right, and so on. And I think that the size of those tracks, like I want to go-karting right now. As a matter of fact, I have the itch.
Let's go.
We should
Right
do
now.
a
Is it
class trip.
open?
It's a,
They're
yeah,
open.
so
Are they
there's a
open on
number
the
of there's one that's that I like a lot that is all electric. It happens to be at Downsview Park, and it is super fast, clean, and I never liked the idea of smelling like exhaust fumes, but with that one is all electric, and they're really fun. But now I bumper car trauma from Celia. Did you have a bad bumper car experience?
Yeah, that's for sure.
So maybe we should do a Teens Learn to Drive day at the track. Maybe that's a thing to do.
For
See how
sure.
everybody do a little competition, see who can be fastest, or who can crash fewest.
It's a great idea.
That'd be
We'll have
fun.
to go
The
for
team
those
would
two.
definitely be down for that.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to talk about it in the future. It's been great. I love. We're going to do a post about the backgrounds. We'll do that, and maybe now we can have different members from the team next time. Maybe we'll have a different challenge. We can do something else in terms of seeing what you can produce with some of your amazing stuff. But I love the backgrounds. We'll use them for this shows as we go forward. Brandon, anything before we go and before we start wrapping up?
You guys lost me at go-karts. That's just where I'm at now.
He's just been thinking
On
about
his
it.
Unless the
mind.
next email is about go-karts, I don't want to be there.
Yeah, it's turn 3. It's all about turn 3. So it's awesome. Thanks, Anton, Joseph, and Megan for hanging out with us today. We will be sending people right now to go and follow you on TikTok and Twitter and everywhere that you are. If we can pull up there, there we go. Oh, wait, can regular viewers join at track day? We'll have to see. But something to think about. So Teens Learn to Drive is TL2D today on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. I love your content. It's great. We want to see more of it, and we look forward to having you back next Tuesday. Megan, we'll see you I think next Tuesday. But
Yes.
Anton and Joseph, you guys will be replaced until another opportunity to have you on. So thanks
No,
for
thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Oh,
it was
thank you
fun.
for coming, and thank you for your contributions. Your artwork's great. So with that, we'll shut down the chat, and we'll say goodbye for now. But we'll hope to see you again soon. And just a few more messages from Brandon and I, and then we're going to shut this down. In the meantime, I'm going to take you guys off backstage, and you can hang out and wait till we're for a minute. We'll come back and see you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So that was cool.
It was.
They've got. I love these backgrounds as I cover them up entirely, but it's good stuff. For those of you that are watching and want to know where to find us, well, we're on Twitter. You can get us at Traffic Services. You can get us at Traffic Services Toronto on Instagram. We're available on YouTube. I should say Traffic Services Toronto Police. You can go directly with a long link, but this is easy. Just you'll find us just by typing those magic words in. And of course, you can get us on TikTok, where we spend at least an hour a day doing a Q&A session, which is all about your questions. There is no silly question. All of them are valid, and you can ask them on TikTok. If you don't have the app, you should download it. It's free, and join us there. So with that, we'll say goodbye. It's sad to say goodbye, but we'll be back tomorrow. And now we got to plan a go-kart trip. Now I really want to go go-karting. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. See you soon.